What do you think it is?
I don't know. I feel like, I almost feel like there's a disconnect. Like it doesn't even land on me. Or I feel like maybe if I feel like I'm proud of myself, like if I actually feel proud of myself, it'll go against some script that I've always had written, or some thing that was always written inside of me. You know, it's like it's almost like it wouldn't, if I wrote on the wall of myself, I'm proud of you, it wouldn't even fucking show up on the wall.
What emotion would you feel if you saw that?
Like what emotion would I feel if I saw what?
I'm proud of myself. Would you go bullshit? Would you be pissed off by it? Would you be annoyed? Would you just
No, I think I'd feel ashamed of myself for even thinking it.
That's interesting. And it produced an emotion in you just now, even when you just thought about it. I saw that flash in your eyes. It's just a little bit of water, a little bit of fluid.
Oh yeah, dude. Fuck, we cry on here every week. It's get tough, I'll leave.
Yeah.
I heard you talk about fake intimacy once. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yep. But if you can't get it, you try to connect with dad, but he's always too busy. Mom's always depressed or angry. You can't connect. So you assume it's my fault. I must be something wrong with me, but I'm still driven for connection, but I don't want deep, genuine connection now, because that's always led to rejection.
Some part of you eventually goes, why don't you move? It's like, why don't they move? Because it's home. It's what they know. We have an emotional home. We have certain emotions that got built up in your youth. I had 4 fathers. I had a mother that was pretty intense. Even though it didn't feel good, you go there because it's what you know.
Yeah.
It's comfortable. So
it almost felt like I was deserting myself if I felt good about myself, which is crazy. I'd almost feel like I was leaving. I don't know. Yeah, it's almost like I know those feelings.
No, finish that thought. I'm leaving what?
Well, it's almost like I feel like I know those feelings of not feeling good about myself so well that I don't want to leave them alone, because we always had each other. And it was like, if I leave them,
Have you ever had a friend?
If I leave them, I won't. I don't know. Does that make sense though?
Yeah, it does. You won't what?
If I leave them, I'll just be letting them down, and they're not even real, but it's a part of me, some part of me inside of me I can't even access. They're like his brothers.
That's right. They're your home. Right?
Yeah.
And by the way,
the desire to know yourself. So people are very good at faking it. And you could be out there listening and go, yeah, I kind of want to know myself better. Okay, let me get online and get, they just forget about it because the other forces are stronger than them. You have to have a level, that if you're in recovery, a level of disgust. You have to hit bottom.
Yeah.
You have to go, I don't want to be like this anymore. I want to find out who I am. I want to touch that core of individuality that I know is still within me, that soul that I believe is still there. You have to have the desire. If there's no desire there, if you're just mimicking, if you're just saying it just for the sake of it because it sounds good, I can't help you. But if it's still there, yeah, you want to start by, there are many paths you can take. A very good path is to take a journal and start journaling, right? And writing down your thoughts and writing down your dreams.
As long as they're single, they don't think they need to work on their trauma because, it's just me. I'm surviving. As soon as they get in a relationship, then they start damaging the other person. Then they have kids, they're damaging their kids. And all of a sudden they go, I got to start working on my crap. But then they go, okay, I'll just change this. I'll change this. But it's not working. Why is it not fixing the relationship? And it's because you're trying to fix the symptoms. You're not dealing with the root issues, that deep shame, that deep lack of trust, that deep fear of intimacy and fear of abandonment. And as long as those are still there, they're going to keep getting in the way of true healthy relationships.
I really appreciate you being so vulnerable, because the people watching there, seeing that, allow them to be vulnerable, because you're a role model of that. It's because you're funny as shit, but to be able to be that vulnerable is beautiful. But let me just tell you something. Those are not your friends.
Yeah.
And you're not going to abandon those parts of yourself. You're going to find these other parts of yourself that need to be in charge. It's not to say that you can't have negative emotions or fears or feelings, but the ones that don't support you, you got to break that pattern. And the way you break the pattern first is you start to see, you get a new experience. If I get you an experience where you feel like you actually felt proud of yourself without those feelings, and there was no sense of loss, and I did that with you for days and days, You'll never go back.
Wow.
Because your brain will go, what the F? I'm not going back to that bullshit.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you look at it, it's like, oh shit, I got to do this, but to carve out a little time where you're like, yeah, let me think, what are some things, look at old photos and stuff like that. Really look at yourself a little bit like you're studying something,
Even listen to the music that you liked, however embarrassing that might be.
Yeah. Hear that voice of purpose.
Well, it's a very interesting question, and it's a very difficult one because I get a lot of people writing to me saying, Robert, I hear what you said. I've read your book, but I have no idea. I can't hear it anymore, right? I'm lost. The problem that most people have is they're not connected to themselves. They're too outer directed. They're not inner directed. So what you need to be doing is you need to be looking at yourself, not listening to others, not listening to what's on social media, not listening to what your peers are saying, but listening to yourself, who you are, what really truly excites you. You have to cut out all that other stuff that your parents told you, that other people are telling you. And so you're looking for signs of things that bring back, you're looking for your childhood again, for that child inside of you that got so excited about those things, but that you forgot.
Yeah.
There is not a child on the planet that doesn't have that.
And so a lot of people, as long as the relationship's going along smoothly, it looks pretty good. But as soon as there's the slightest thing that triggers their fear of abandonment or triggers their shame, big explosion, they go back to old behaviors. All of a sudden they're in fight, flight, or freeze mode. They're lashing out, they're running away, and that's when all the damage happens. And after a while, there's so much baggage from all the damage that you just can't repair it.
Yeah. Really hard for me to feel proud of myself,
So stop saying that.
Okay.
Because every time you say that, you're rewiring it back into your body over and over. It's a story. Yeah. It's like there's an old phrase that says, tell a lie big enough, loud enough and long enough, sooner or later people believe it.
I say it a lot. Yeah, it's because I think it's like having a new story for myself. Part of me is still, there's a heavy bit, even to my whole new story, to having a new story. Yeah. Even having some success in my life, it's almost like some of it feels embarrassing.
It's like a muscle. Everybody's got the muscle. If you use it, it grows. If you don't use it, you lose it, right? Yeah. It doesn't ever disappear though. It just looks like it's not there. But if you demand it, you push it beyond what it's comfortable with. And that's what you're doing right now. You're pushing beyond your comfort. You were settling for comfort to try to survive. Now you're like, F that. I want more out of this life. I'm not going to settle for that shit. But then you keep telling yourself the old story. So change your story, change your life. It sounds overly simplistic, but it is true.
No, I love it. I appreciate you saying it.
What would be an emotion that's so strong that it would get rid of the disappointment?
Probably love, There
you go. And that's your core, brother. I didn't hear you say that on the first one. That's all you really want. It's probably why you do this podcast. It's probably why you make people laugh. Me too, by the way. The whole reason I do what I do is I love people and I love to see people happy because I was so unhappy myself and I got out of it. So
I think a part of me is afraid that I'm going to leave a part of me, like if I be successful.
So let's investigate that for a second.
Like if I be successful, I'm going to leave a part of me behind.
Well, then you're effed right now because you're already successful. You got, I don't know how many millions of people I'm sure that watch your podcast. You make people laugh all over the world. Yeah. You have people that
I think I'm embarrassed sometimes.
But all those emotions are old habits. So those emotions are not you. They were a part of your past. They were a pattern. It's a pattern of what you do with your body and breathe. But it meets some of your needs to feel yourself or feel sorry for yourself or feel sad.
Right.
You follow me?
It's like a self-pity thing.
A little bit. But what you're really wanting is not self-pity. You're wanting self-love. You just haven't learned how to give it to yourself. My way of doing that is gratitude. Because when you're grateful, love flows naturally.
Does everyone have the chance to find their purpose? Because sometimes responsibility takes away the freedom that you have, and even just the space in your life to feel anything. Right. But those people they don't not have a purpose. Maybe they just haven't been able to reach it.
Well, the first thing you have to do is you have to realize that you have to want to get out of it, and you have to want it badly enough. So you got to figure out a path out of this trap that you're in. And it is a trap because if you're living paycheck to paycheck, it becomes a habit and it's going to stay with you your whole life. So every time there isn't a paycheck, you're going to freak out and you're going to go get the quickest, easiest job that you can get. You have to break out of that. So I tell people, even in the most despondent circumstances, first of all, think of what is that childhood thing that you loved?
There was a part of me I realized that didn't want to stop smoking because I knew if I stopped, I wouldn't, and it wasn't like it was kind of a subconscious part of me.
Yeah.
But I knew if I stopped, I wouldn't have something to blame myself.
Theo, I have so much respect for you doing that. It's so
Right?
hard to do, but you did the right thing, which is what I teach. You got to replace it with something. You don't stop doing something. So it's like, it's not about stopping what you're doing. It's about starting something else that's more fulfilling. Like running, what needs does it meet? Does it make you feel comfortable afterwards? Do you feel certain? But if you got to the point where the way you stay is you go, it'll get better. It was better in the past, or you jump to the future and say it's better. But there's a day we hit a threshold, you go, it's been painful in the past, it's painful today, it's gonna be painful forever, I'm the F out of here, right?
Yeah.
That's when people start to change. When you hit a threshold, you get the fourth piece, you get an insight. And the insight is what's really true, and usually figure it out. It's not my partner, it's not my job, it's me. What's going on in me? And you make a distinction, and that creates an opening. Like there's a chance for you to change your life in that moment. You had that when you were here and you couldn't feel anything with this girl. Felt dissatisfaction, you eventually got to a threshold and you finally said, wait a second, these drugs are just making me numb, I gotta do something. And you had to jump through the opening because you didn't know what was on the other side. There's uncertainty. A lot of people go through all that and they get to the opening and it only stays open for a few moments. If you don't do something with the insight, it closes, you start all over again. You gotta go through all the time period of getting satiated, getting dissatisfied again,
Right.
hitting a threshold. And some people just never jump through the hole. So I used to kick people through the opening. Because I bring them to the opening over and over and get them to jump through so they get the muscle. Because otherwise it might last a year or two, but it's not gonna last forever. If you do it, you got a chance of it lasting for a long time. But you went through that chemistry, but very few people do.
Yeah.
You got dissatisfied enough.